Parsha, Parshas Shalach, the Torah recounts the story of Moshe sending the 12 spies to scout out the land of Canaan. The Meraglim were instructed to provide Moshe with an objective report and to bring back fruit from the land. When they returned, 10 of the 12 spies not only gave their report and presented the fruit, but also relayed their conclusion that conquering the land would be impossible. The sin of the Meraglim was not simply the fact that they seemingly lacked faith in Hashem's ability to provide the Jewish people with safe passage into Eretz Yisrael, but more so that they convinced the entire nation to lose faith and question Hashem. The severity of their sin is clearly underscored by the punishment the spies received and the punishment Hashem decreed against that generation. When describing the men chosen for this mission, the Torah uses the adjectives Nesiim, leaders, Anashim, men of distinction, and Reshei B'nai Israel, heads of B'nai Israel. How is it possible that men of such stature, Nesiim, Anashim, Reshei B'nai Israel, committed such a great error in judgment, ultimately depriving an entire generation of their place in Eretz Yisrael? The Lubavitcher Rebbe provides a novel insight from the viewpoint of Hasidus. The Rebbe explains that the intentions of the Meraglim were solely for the sake of Hashem. At that time, the Jewish people were experiencing a level of spirituality never present before. In the desert, all of their physical needs were taken care of directly by Hashem. They were given a month. Their clothing was always clean and grew with them, and the Anani Akaba provided constant protection. The B'nai Yisrael were able to focus completely on their spiritual growth, learning Torah, and their devotion to Hashem, without the burden of concern for their physical needs. When the Meraglim absorbed the sites of Eretz Canaan, they immediately realized that this spiritual experience would soon come to an end. The Jewish people would be forced to involve themselves in working the land, engaging in commerce, and in a myriad of other physical pursuits in order to support themselves and their families. The spies provided their report and their conclusion in hope of keeping the status quo, all for the sake of Hashem. What the spies failed to realize was that, by giving us the Torah, Hashem gave us the capacity to work with the physical and to transform it into the spiritual. The capability to change this mundane world into a dwelling place for Hashem. When we plant and harvest fruit and bring bikur, when we take cowhide and convert it into tefillin, mezuzos, and sifrei Torah, when we engage in business to provide for our families, communities, and tzedakah for a fellow Jew, we have taken something that is mundane and devoid of spirituality and have transformed it into a godly entity. The intention of the spies is for the Jewish people to continue living in a completely spiritual world, requiring no contribution of their own. They failed to see that the sole purpose of Hashem giving us the Torah was for us to be partners in creating spiritual from the physical so that Hashem may dwell on this earth in his full spiritual glory. Because of this grave miscalculation, Hashem saw that the Meraglim and that entire generation were not worthy of this partnership. Hashem therefore permitted that generation to live out the remainder of their lives in the desert in a purely spiritual state. The lesson from this story is clear. We must live this partnership always. It is our mission to take advantage of every opportunity in our daily lives to create spirituality from the mundane. Share a word of Torah during a business encounter. Invite a fellow Jew to perform a mitzvah. If we know an aleph, we must teach an aleph to another. My fellow graduates, today we begin the next stage in our lives. We are expected to become more independent, to make bigger and more enduring decisions, and to start considering our long-term goals. Essentially, to grow up. It's easy to fear a reality or to negatively take advantage of a long leash of independence. However, if we keep this powerful lesson in mind, all such fears will fade and we will have the proper focus to use our new independence to fulfill our purpose and change the world. As Hashem told the Bnei Israel just prior to the giving of the Torah, "V'atem tihiyu li mamlechas kahanim v'gad kadosh," will be to me a kingdom of Kahanim and a holy nation. Kahanim defined not only as priests, but also as ambassadors. We are Hashem's spiritual ambassadors, and only then can we be a holy nation. On behalf of my graduating class, I would like to extend a huge Yasher Koach and thank you to our rebbeim and teachers. Our success is a direct result of your dedication and persistence in educating us and providing us with a nurturing environment for the past 9 years. Thank you for your patience and encouragement, and for always showing up, even though it's sometimes felt more like babysitting than teaching. Thank you to our parents for choosing EMEK as a partner in raising us and for ensuring that we received the best Jewish education, and for paying the babysitting, tuition every year. Thank you to all the EMEK staff, to our families and our friends who completed the Education Dream Team, supporting our achievements and encouraging us to get back up after our failures. On a personal note, I would like to thank my fellow classmates for being such great friends, for accepting me with open arms, and for taking me under their wing and always making me feel like one of the guys. I also want to thank my mom, dad, sister, and brother for their support and encouragement. Lastly, my parents want to thank me for being such an awesome son. They promised to buy me a car with the year of tuition they saved.